Blackman Parish Council, February the 23rd, 2023. Meeting is now called to order. We have roll call.
Council,
Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present. We'll move to the next item, please.
Item 2, executive session, there are none. Item 3, proclamations, there are none. Item 4, status report by the parish president.
Welcome. Basically, it's going to be a pretty short one right here. You know, we had the Mardi Gras, the holidays here. It seemed like when we'd walk into the government building, it was kind of really sparse and vacant there. But things are ongoing. You know, Billy and Jeff and Crystal and the staff here still going in this positive direction here. Just one. I don't want to say it was a bad thing, but you know, I got a phone call early Tuesday morning where we dropped the ball basically on the celebration for Mardi Gras at the Diamond Park. But like I assured Mr. LaFrance, come next year we'll be a little bit more on top of things. We just got to figure out who's running the event so that there can be better communications, because when you deal with these like the Seafood Fest, the Orange Fest, even like the Empire Pass, the rodeo, there's a line of communication that happens between that organization and the government, that there's letters that are sent to us that are requesting, you know, the mosquito control, the portalets, tents, and different things like that. So we just need to sit down with that organization so that we know that we're on top of the event, and that way we can do a good thing. Because like you said, Mr. LaFrance, they're doing this event here in Port Sulphur, and they want to do this because they don't want to have to go up into the city and celebrate. They want to have a safe environment for their families and all like that. So rest assured, come next year, we will see to that right there.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I can go through the other items, but I guess what I'll do is I'll just wait for your update towards the end of the meeting here, and we can go through all of those items there. So,
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, Mr. Hinckley. Thank you. Again, I hear positive feedback from the constituents out there in the parish about how well the parish is looking and how things are shaping up. So again, kudos to you and your guys out there, and especially out there, kudos to our workers, because those are guys with boots on the ground and getting it done. So again, thank you guys. Also, I have one question. Do we have, or is there any possibility, because I've been asked, you know, with it being so warm, you know, you go out in the evening, now your mosquitoes tear you up a little bit. Is there a schedule with the mosquito truck? Do you guys have one or coming up with one? Because I believe that'd be very positive so people can see, because, hey, mosquito truck sprayed in Port Sulphur, or how many mosquito, you know, or it's going to be in Belchase, or it's on the East Bank today, you know?
there is a schedule, and I'm sure we gave one to Mr. Schultz, and I can't remember right off the top of my head here as far as when it starts, but I can tell you we didn't plan on starting February. But,
No.
so we may have to step that up a little earlier now with this warm weather and all. So I will get with Billy. I'll get with Billy on that, and
Thank you. And
we'll
put it,
get
you
that
know,
moving forward.
so, you know, maybe put it on the website that you can have it under the mosquito control department. So you can reference people, hey man, go check the website and let them know what that. Also,
It's done in zones. We can put it on the website. We'll have to come up with a.
Yeah,
a
we'll just
better
come up with a
explanation
plan,
as
you
to
know, and
what you see.
you guys, yeah, just a little more visual. I talked to some other folks, some areas. Oh man, the mosquito truck comes here every day. So it is out there, but maybe not to all residents and where they can really know what's going on in the area.
Well, one more thing, or two more items here. Made it down to Port Sulphur. Had my keys to get into my office, and my keys didn't work. But had a good conversation with Mr. Jurisic. We were able to sit in the lobby and just discuss some issues of the area. So that was a good. It wasn't a wasted afternoon. And I finally got into my office right here in Point LaHash here. So looking forward to spending time with you guys in your areas, and like I said, just continue to work together and get things done for the parish here.
Mr. Edwards?
Yeah, I'm just hoping that at some point, the day event center, the Reverend Griffin Center, the pool, that is a really serious issue. I'm getting so many calls trying to find some solution about that building, the swimming pool and those kind of things. We got some serious problem with that building, around buildings, period, but especially that building. So at some point, I'd like to get together because right now, nothing is happening, around the building. I talked to Lady Jane, she's only concerned about office space. I'm not concerned about office space. That building, people shouldn't even be in the building. That's what I'm be talking about when I'm gonna move in and give in space. But we need to have some serious stuff around that building.
Jeff and I had the opportunity, we met with the Y about a week or so ago. So we have some major issues with all of our swimming pools, the one in Port Sulphur, Buras, and this one right here. So we're identifying a contractor to come give us some numbers and to see what the problems are so that we can move forward with doing that. Also, on the Davant Center, Jeff is in the process of getting bids on the roofing work that needs to be done. We really can't move forward until we get that roof secure. And also, talk to Ms. Jane about the ice machines. She is in the process of looking into the equipment as well.
And it's not on the swimming pool, it's that building, because when we came here last summer, we thought that the roof would be prepared on the building, that building where the swimming pool at, it's not just the swimming pool, it's the building too.
Okay.
Mr. Edwards?
I'm sorry.
I just want to compliment you and the people on the East Bank for Plaquemine Parish Parade. Everyone throughout the parish, they truly like coming over here and they enjoyed it, and seem like every year it's getting bigger and bigger. So kudos go out to you and everyone on the East Bank.
Well, Dale and the enemy and the folks that put that on, they've been doing an amazing job, and they have a lot of sponsors. Sponsorship is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Maybe one year the president might skip his parade and come float here with us, but I know it's hard when you've been doing something for 30
That's
years.
like Christmas morning to me, man. I've been doing that for
I know, I'm just messing with you, man.
Mr. Schultz?
So I just respond to you, Mr. Newsom. I had the same question on the mosquito control, and Mr. Witchers emailed me the planned schedule for the year. I just forwarded to all the council members. That way y'all have the same information. I just did it outside the council meeting, but that way y'all have all the same information.
Any more comments from the table? Audience? We'll move to the next item.
Item 4A, update by charter directors.
I think we caught that. We move to the next item.
5, bids and advertisements. There are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Is there any key in? If you have any key in, please. Mr. George?
Yes, I have 2. One of them is for Gilbo Incorporated, legal name of Gilbo's, located at 28564 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, 70083. They're applying to the Office of Alcohol and Tobacco for the liquor renewal. Also, I have another one, Gilbo's Deli. Do we take them both at the same time, Kim? Gilbo's Deli, located primarily at the same address, 28564 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, 70083. Also applying for the renewal of their liquor Class A license.
Mr. Champagne?
Yes, I have one for Rotolo's Pizzeria at 102 Woodland Highway, Suite 5 and 6.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. George, seconded by Mr. Champagne. Any discussion? Audience? Machines are open. Mr. Edwards? and the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
7, building permits. 7A, construction permits. 7A1, Shell Pipeline Company LP, application number 2022-344, dated March 29, 2022, install bulkhead and plugs along the exiting Narren to Narco 20-inch pipeline north of the Sokola Canal. Councilmember Jurasich.
Can we take item 2 also? Do it in global?
Harvest Midstream, application number 2023-35, dated January 19, 2023, install 6-inch pipeline, Lake Washington Field. Councilmember Jurasich.
So we have a motion by Mr. Jurdich, seconded by? By Mr. Newsom. Any discussion from the table? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passed 8-4, 1 abstention. We'll move to the next item, please.
7B,
We'll
River,
defer that item.
7C is withdrawn. 7D, Bolsu Holdings LLC, business occupancy only to open a construction worker parking lot located in FP floodplain zoning district at 21182 Highway 23, Point Celeste, Louisiana. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered. I just want to do that one first. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Dr. Gui. Do we have Mr. Anthony Mears? You would like to come speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anthony Burris, Jesuit Men, agent for Bolsu Holdings, LLC.
Yes, and the property is 20 acres?
It's 20 acres, yes, sir.
20 acres, and it's going to be used for,
Construction worker parking lot and to house some of Bolsu's own equipment.
okay? Good. Any questions from the table? Mr. Konovich?
I called last night about this property. Is it the future site of Gulfstream Incorporated?
You're talking about an LNG plant?
Yep.
So I knew that question would come up. I learned about what you're asking yesterday afternoon. The answer to your question is no. The original map that went out yesterday with the press announcement did include Bolsu's property. It was not a correct map. An addended map went out today. It is actually the property just south of Bolsu or the old Nungesser property. Bolsu is in no way affiliated with this company.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any more questions from the table? From the audience? Administration? Machines are open. Then the measure passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
9-0. Thank you. We'll move to the next item, please.
Item E, AMW77 LLC, Maurice Wescovich Jr., Trailer Park Renewal, Riverside Lane, Boothville, Louisiana. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Let's take E, F, G, and H in global.
F, Jim's RV Park, Jim Boyd RV Park Renewal, Shadow Lane, Boothville, Louisiana. Councilmember Kotnovich. Kimberly's Court LLC, Gloria Bonvillian, Trailer Park Renewal, Kimberly Court, Triumph, Louisiana. Councilmember Kotnovich. H, Harvey Properties, Todd Harvey, Trailer Park Renewal, Sooner Lane, Venice, Louisiana. Councilmember Kotnovich.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Mitch. Is there any discussion? Mr. Newsom?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess this goes, Randy, I'll ask the question over that. So I see a lot of these renewals, and look, we need all these renewals and these parks for folks with our new industry coming here. But the only thing I'd like to see a little better, and I guess we can see is some better drawings. Is is there, we'd have to, this body would have to pass some legislation to incorporate that? Because some of these drawings, it's hard for me to read, and, you know, if we could get some, I'd say, and I hate to use this, so I won't use an acronym, because some computer-aided drawings, some CAD drawings, is that a possibility for these, to put this to, for these renewals to go on there, so you can see where the water lines are, where the fire hydrants are, where's the sewer drop, where's the meters and all that, so.
We had discussed this at lunch. I'm not sure if we do this administratively or if it actually is in the ordinance. So I'd have to do a little research on that. Clearly, if it's in the ordinance and it allows for hand drawings, and, you know, we would allow them to do it. I mean, obviously, it would have to be legible, and if they're not including water lines and sewer lines and et cetera, then we need to approve that. If we can do it administratively without ordinance, I'm sure the parish president will direct Ms. Rose to go ahead and request that. The only thing I will tell you is some of these smaller parks, you know, may have just a couple trailers and have been in operation for a decade or 2 decades. You know, probably not going to go spend $1,000. You know, I don't know if we would want to make them spend $1,000 on a map. So, let me see what we can do administratively, and if it requires an ordinance, I'll get with you, and then you can pass an ordinance, and we could say, you know, parks larger than, you know, 10 trailers have to provide something from an engineer, you know, with better drawings.
Right, I would agree 100% with you on the smaller parks, no, but some of the large parks. So thank you, appreciate that, thank you.
Mr. Konovich?
There's already something, Amitra, last year, she sent out to every park that they had to hire an engineer firm and do the drawings of each trailer park. I got complaints from the trailer parks that they had to go spend money on an engineer to draw
Well-
the maps.
Well, I think that was for new parks, and I think that
Those
was
old ones.
for all renewals. Well, I'll be honest, I don't remember that discussion. I would be surprised if that was required, that she would be accepting the renewals with those type of maps, but it's something I would have to talk to her about. So I'll get back with you guys at the next meeting.
Hey.
Ms. McCarthy?
I don't want to have businesses incur additional funding or expenses, rather. However, I would like to encourage the trailer parks to look toward beautification in some way, either a fence that might hide some things or some shrubbery, because these are going to be here for 6 years. And just an encouragement, not an ordinance. So what are your thoughts?
We can try.
Okay.
Mr. Georgich?
Yes, Councilmember Konovich, are all these renewals in compliance?
Yes, they're all in compliance.
Thank you.
Mr. Konovich? Any more comments from the table, from the audience, administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. We'll take item I, J, K, and L in Globo.
They need
Hold on. Hold on.
Item 7I, wholesale fireworks, Kurt Cavalier Fireworks Stand Renewal, 7614 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Councilmember Schultz. J, Ducks Fireworks, Donald Durr Fireworks Stand Renewal, 7010 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Councilmember McCarty. K, Ducks Fireworks, Donald Durr Fireworks Stand Renewal, 9127 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Councilmember Gooey. L, Ducks Fireworks, Donald Durr Fireworks Stand Renewal, 9590 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Councilmember Gooey.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Dr. Gooey. Any comments from the table? Administration? Audience? Machines are open. And your measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
We have 14. The following are for Councilmember LaFrance. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 22-64, section 2, subsection 5, paragraph 7, section 2, subsection 5, paragraph 7, there's an extra word in here, sorry. To provide for the maximum number of recreational vehicle sites for temporary recreation vehicle parks to 30 per parcel of property. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt section 21-136 of chapter 21 of the Parish Code of Ordinances by enacting subsection G, which shall provide for a maximum number of recreational unit sites for recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds to 30 per parcel of property or lot of record. An ordinance prohibiting the sale of imported shrimp in the parish of Plaquemines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Galliano Marine Service LLC, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on a map by GIS Engineering LLC entitled Galliano Marine Services LLC Re-Subdivision Survey Plat showing a re-subdivision of lots 9 and lot 10 of Point Celeste Farms into Lot 9A belonging to Galliano Marine Service LLC, located in Section 19, Township 17 South, Range 26 East, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, dated November 3rd, 2022, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next two are for Councilmember Jurasich. An ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Section 2-17, Rules for Transaction of Business Before the Council, Chapter 1, Meetings of the Plaquemines Parish Council and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Councilmember Newsom, an ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund and Road Maintenance Fund operating expenditure budgets, Flood Control General Department, Recreation Facilities and Services Department, and Road Maintenance Public Right-of-Way Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The following two are for Councilmember McCarty. A resolution urging the Plaquemines Parish Tourism Commission to provide better public access to budgets and meeting materials, and to provide a bi-monthly update to the Plaquemines Parish Council and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to authorize and direct the parish president or his designee to place stop signs and/or no parking signs at several locations on Planters Canal Road, Mildred Street, Railroad Street, and Burmaster Street, Belchase, Louisiana, to establish a penalty for violation thereof and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. We have one for Councilmember Schultz, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Firefighting Fund operating expenditure budget, Firefighting General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the last two are for Councilmember Champagne. A resolution conditionally approving the plan of re-subdivision of a portion of Tract 5E, Section B of Belchase Plantation into Cypress Park Subdivision, Phase 2C. Phase 2C containing lots 241 through 285, all without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund operating expenditure budget, Engineering and Public Works Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that's all for the intros.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Next item, please.
Item 9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage.
Excuse me, can we take item 9E 9F, and 9H first.
Nine E, a resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to negotiate, execute, perfect, and enforce a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Plaquemine Social Aid and Pleasure Club, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
We have a motion by Mr. Champagne,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any discussion from the table? Please cue in. Okay, I have Ms. McCarthy.
I have read this, and it's unclear about whether or not they will reimburse the parish for any labor costs that the parish puts out. So for instance, if our workers are doing the trash, et cetera, can we get reimbursed from their profits? And so we might, I'm just asking that we look into doing that in the future or for moving forward.
I can only speak right now as being connected with the Seafood Festival, and Mr. Jurisic can help me out with the rodeo. In the past, we paid employees direct.
Okay.
Croatian festivals, rodeo, orange festival,
Please cue in.
Yeah.
they all pay
We,
employees.
right.
Okay.
So there was some actions were taken years ago to allow us to have access to these employees, plus it gives them an opportunity to make a few extra dollars there, so.
Oh,
it's
I'm
already
not
done.
against the tourism aspect or making money for them. I just wanted to make sure that we're not losing revenue for the events. Thank you.
Reverend Edwards?
I'm just trying to find who is the Plaquemine Social Aid and where they're located at.
In Bell Chase.
What they do?
Mr. Champagne, you might be the closest one to them.
Yeah, they are.
Got me on.
Turn all mics on. We are live.
Yeah, the Plaquemines Parish Social Aid and Pleasure Club is a nonprofit that is, that operates out of Bell Chase, and it hosts the One Sack Challenge every year. It's a great event that's a one-day event held at the government complex in Bell Chase off F. Boulevard, and 100% of the profits that they make are returned back to the parish in the form of charitable donations, scholarships, donations to the police department, et cetera. So a very worthy endeavor.
Thank you.
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, to expand on Mr. Champagne, they also have given to some local churches. They present some stuff to the Riverbend Nursing Home, which I know of because that's in my district. So very great organization, and this is a great event, as well as all the other events in the parish that we have. So just appreciate if we if the residents get out there and support it and come out and have a good time and eat a lot of crawfish, because they say it's a one sack challenge, but and they got plenty of crawfish. So it's a very well-run organization. Thank you.
Any more comments from the table? Administration? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Item F,
9F, a resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to negotiate, execute, perfect, and enforce a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Plaquemines Parish Heritage and Seafood Festival, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
we have a motion by Mr. Champagne,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. McCarthy. Any discussion from the table? Administration? Audience? Machines are open.
I'm sorry.
And the measure passes
Verbal yes. A verbal yes.
9-0.
9H, a resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to negotiate, execute, perfect, and enforce a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Croatian American Society, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Before off, I want to add, I talked to Billy about, got one tent right now, 20 by 20. Like to put that on there too. And with that, I'll offer.
Second.
Okay. So we have an amendment. You offer with the amendment.
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion by Mr. Conovich, seconded by Mr. Jurich. Any discussion from this table? From the administration? From the audience? Machines are open. And the message passes 9-0. Thank you. We'll move to the next item, please.
9B, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, new construction Woodlawn Fire Station project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
Reverend Evans? Item B, 9B, you so offered?
No, I withdrew that. I think I talked.
Withdraw? That item is withdrawn.
9C, an ordinance.
That item is deferred. 9D.
9D, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating expenditure budget, Waterworks and Sewage Operations Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I'll offer for discussion. Seconded by Dr. Gouy. I yield to the administration.
It's our understanding you guys were going to defer this.
Okay, that item is deferred.
Nine G, an ordinance to amend and as amended to readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Section 217, Rules for Transaction of Business Before the Council, Rules 18A, 18B, Rule 19-1A9, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy.
We have a motion by Dr. Gouy, seconded by Mr. Schultz. Dr. Gouy.
Yes, thank you, sir. This is the companion legislation for the legislation that was passed during the port meeting regarding the structure of the rules of the conducting of a meeting.
Any comments from the table? Administration? Audience? That's action. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
9I, a resolution to appoint a replacement member and 2 new members to the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission Board, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Have changes.
On line, let's see, on line 27, we're going to remove Richie Blank and add Charlotte Moores Burris.
And with that, I'll offer.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Conovich, seconded by Mr. Jurich, with changes. Any discussion from the table?
Yeah, I have a question. Any East Bank people on this board?
I mean, go ahead, Mr. Edwards. I'll yield to Mr. Edwards.
Go ahead, Reverend Edwards.
We have the people in the audience could answer that.
Let me, I had a conversation with Mr. Capel and Mr. Valet this morning. We're in the process, after our meeting, we're in the process of finding the bylaws of the tourism committee so that we can identify where the appointees, where they come from, and who does the appointing, and how many members are on the board. like I said, we had this meeting at 10:30 or, no, 9 o'clock this morning. So, I mean, if you want to move forward with this, but basically what I was going to say and just advise is that we may be coming back at a later date in the near future to kind of get this back to where it is supposed to be when it was created, probably going on almost 16 years ago now, so.
Well, I'd like to, if we could vote on them, because they got a problem with having a quorum.
No, that's not a problem.
Until
No.
we get it all straight.
I don't have a problem with that, but I just wanted it to be known that, you know, we are looking at the bylaws and, you know, trying to kind of clean things up here.
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Konovich for adding Ms. Burris to this list. She's a valuable resource down at Cypress Cove Marina. Got the Plaquemines Parish at a number one in her mind, so she'd be a valuable asset to this tourism board. So I'm going to support Mr. Konovich's legislation, and also I'm going to thank him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion from the table? From the administration? From the audience?
Donald Valet. As the parish president stated, we did meet this morning, not with that specific intention to talk about this, but we did get into the Tourism Commission itself in general. You have in front of you a complete schedule of our budget, the audited statements that we have been dealing with, the amount of funds that we've been receiving. It shows you where the sources are, as well as what distributions and our advertising budget. Foster and I have been working with the other two members of the commission since Mitch got on the council and he's off of it. We have a real problem getting a quorum for our meetings. It's been going on for quite a while. We may have a meeting, but we can't vote on anything. We just finally got a meeting last week with Sal and Julie, who were on it, plus Foster and myself. We've been working with Danny since last December when Councilman Konovich proposed a CEA between the parish and the Tourism Commission to take over the fort. We've spent a great deal of time with the fort, different people, the historians, and what's been going on with it, so we can bring it back into scale. We have a pretty good advertising budget. We've agreed to spend money for legal, creating a 501(c) so we can receive grants. We are receiving grants now for our advertising budget from the state, and it's gearing up. I can tell you, it's starting to work. We just need a quorum, and we can take 7 people. We have literally needed live bodies, if you want to call it that, to have a quorum. Charlotte, we need somebody. Charlotte would be a good position to put on there. I know Renee, you all already stated the credentials in that aspect of them. There's several other people that are starting to get aboard to want to work for the fort. I can tell you, there's all kind of things the Tourism Commission can do. Foster and I spend our time, we don't get paid. We spend a lot of time, a lot of communications, and meeting on this thing. If you look at our budgets, advertising, you look at the nature of the brochures we put together, it's bringing the parish forth. The idea behind getting involved in the CEA originally, so we get a lawnmower for Councilman Connie, because he was cutting grass at the fort because the parish didn't have the funds available. And we have committed in our budget, there will be a lawnmower for him to keep cutting grass in the future. We've gotten a little bit more restrictive on how we disperse any of our monies to any of the nonprofits strictly on a reimbursement basis, which we conveyed to the president today. We have limitations of how the funds can be used. And again, it's advertising and marketing and promotional. It fits within the guidelines of the laws of the state's laws on this Tourism Commission. We are governed by them, frankly, on what goes on there to the parish. We're open to anything, like we talked about with you. Find the bylaws, let's find where we're going with this thing, and make sure we're adhering to appointments of that. So far, we've got 4 here. We need 1 more at least to get past today, and then we can go forward. One of our biggest concerns is that we are collecting the right amount of money. I was working with Todd Eppley, previous administration, trying to get a source of funds and identifying where we're collecting the money. All we do is we get a check from the parish. coming from the sheriff's office once a month. I can tell you, Foster, his accommodations at Woodland probably pays 10 to 20% of the monies we receive, and that can't be right. We need to get that information from the parish. Not that we don't want to violate any privacy laws that goes into the disclosure of that, but we need to have some audits, we need to have some tests made. We've worked with the sheriff's office in the occupational license to make certain that we're getting the right occupational license and people being notified that they have obligations to pay these funds. We did explore with the previous administration the possibility of taxing all of these trailers that are coming in, and travel trailers coming into the parish. We were told at that time, we can't do it. We can't add this onto it because it's a hotel motel tax. And Danny will expound upon that in the future with you about that. I can tell you, we got a great opportunity with what's going on in the parish and the industry that's going on down here. We just need to promote it. We've got ads in the Country Magazine. We're in Where At Magazine. What's the other two, Foster, we're in?
Where you at, Country Roads, Louisiana Life, I believe.
We're advertising all the fairs and the schedule of what's coming up. We're not sitting on the funds that we've been receiving. We did get a $20,000 grant, I believe.
Well, we're getting 50% of what we spend back from the state. So that's good. The more we spend, the more we get back. But we're not spending all we're getting right now.
Please state your name and your
Foster
address.
Hotel from Woodland Plantation, right across the river here. And it'll be a lot easier to get to these meetings when the ferry's working, regardless. We should be collecting a lot more than we are now. I know that because of what I collect and pay to the parish, and I'm sure I'm not collecting 10%. I don't have 10% of the tourists that come to our parish staying at my place. There's no way. So we're short a lot of money. We are spending it on what we're supposed to spend it on. You guys are, ladies and gentlemen, are all welcome to come to our meetings. I was told maybe that you were not able to come to one of our meetings, and I'm very sorry about that. Where were the meetings held?
The meetings of question were being held at the YMCA in Belchase.
Okay. Maybe the door was closed already. I don't know.
I walked up to the door and someone locked the door. And then the second time, the door was locked before I came in. The first time, the meeting was basically not held because I was in the room.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. I don't recall that. But we're open now, and we're having our meetings at the Philisac in Jesuit Bend because it's probably the center of the parish. And we're having it on the second Tuesday of every month. And we've had some good attendance, more and more lately, since Mitch joined us, and Councilman Konovich has been coming as well. We welcome you all. We want more ideas. We need 3 more members so we can have a quorum. If we can't have a quorum, if we don't vote on things, we can't spend the money. And that's one of the reasons we have an abundance of money in the account right now. We've shared all of that with you today, where we get the money from, what we're spending it on. We would like to spend more on the fort, on festivals, and we'd like to see more of it collected. We want to be good partners as the Tourism Commission of our parish. We're volunteering our time. We enjoy promoting our parish. We enjoy promoting High Point, Woodland, all of our fishing, our oysters, our culture, and our history. And that's what we do, and that's what our job is.
One of the things we mentioned to the parish president this morning is in trying to develop where these funds are coming from. We want to not only make sure people are paying what they're supposed to be paying, but we want to make sure we return that money to the people who are actually doing the contributions to these funds. Right now, we don't have any indication, idea of where the money comes from. It's just a matter of $15,000 to $17,000. Todd's gone, so we need to, and we talked this morning with Keith, and everybody's receptive to do this. One of the things that's coming up on the agenda, the next item on there, is a CEA with the parish. We basically got that approved, I thought, last December with you all, but somehow it fell through the crack. That's why it's coming up again with you. The idea being is that we have a funding source through this revenue aspect to do some things for the fort. We have determined that there's some structural problems with the fort, bridges and stuff like that, safety issues that need to be addressed immediately and taken care of. And we're restricted from spending any of our money on it until such time as we enter into that CEA. Again, last week, Danny, we talked to him about that, putting that together. And I believe once it gets through you, I think, Remy, you got to look at it from the parish attorney standpoint. And this is all we know. It's going to take some time, but we need to move quickly on some of this stuff.
One thing we've thought about doing is running an ad in the Gazette, letting people know, letting the businesses know in Plaquemines Parish that we're here, that there is a commission that is promoting them. Because I have a feeling a lot of businesses don't even know that we exist, and they can come to our meetings. Well, we want to make sure they're paying their taxes, their occupancy tax, before we're marketing them. If they're not collecting a tax for us and then we're promoting them, that's not the way it works. So I think that we've talked about it several times, we just haven't done it yet. But I think we'll do it next month, because we've approved the budget to do it. We've approved spending a lot of this money, but we haven't done it. And I think that if we take out a full page in the Gazette, maybe once a quarter, people will realize that we are in existence. They can come to our meetings and they can ask questions, they can make suggestions, and we're all ears. We want to make it a better commission. We want to get our job done.
We voted at the last meeting to put some funds available for legal and to create what we call a 501(c) and naming it the Friends of the Fort. It gives us the ability to go out and raise money, bring people into it, to help contribute and help get active into the fort itself. We have so many people that come to us already and say, God, I got married there. We had another wedding there. We want to get inside the fort. Everybody's restricted. The Orange Festival wants to have the festival
Mr. Chairman,
inside the fort. We need to
Right
move
now,
forward.
we're on the subject of appointing three people. We're going to be on the fort next, call point of order. The fort is the next item on the agenda. Unless you want to cover both of them right now, but I think we have a few questions right now.
And then tourism comes up 3 times today. So I was going to ask if you want to cover it all right now, or do a little bit more further along.
Agenda.
Oh, let's just stick to the agenda. All right, any more questions or comments from the table? We have Ms. McCarthy.
Okay, that was going to be my first question. The topic of bringing forth new people, I will support that. However, I want to mention that you brought up your budget. This is the first time we're seeing the budget, and we can talk about that when tourism comes up again.
Well, we've shared it in the past, at the past council. This is the first time you've seen it, because we just gotten it year end, like last week. We've sent it to the folks that you've seen it before, Dr. Gouy, last year, you've seen it, right? And the folks that were on the council last year, Mr. Konovich, you've seen our budget before, right? So we have shared it with people before. We just didn't share it last month.
Okay. I have questions about the budget, but I'd rather let us vote people in, and then we can talk about that when we get to it further on down in the agenda. Thank you.
Let me tell you, any of you are more than free to call Foster or myself at any time. Ask any questions you want, just like, we talked about with you guys. There's no secrets here.
All right.
Do this for fun.
Okay, Reverend Evans?
Yeah, my question was, do y'all anybody on East Bank as a part of your commission? Do you have any East Bank representative on?
Not since I've been on the board.
No, and I even suggested that we ask the gentleman who owns the launch over there, Don, to be, or someone, because I've always wanted someone to East Bank on our commission.
Tell them the requirements to be on the.
You got to have a tourist-related business. You got to either own a
Right.
restaurant, a marina, or be a guide, for the most part, or a spa.
Right. Well, I have another question. I'll wait till the other meeting in relation to something.
Mr. Jurich?
Yes, I want to commend Foster for his dedication, because I've worked with him in the past, and he's really dedicated. We're trying to move forward, and, I had to step down because of this position, but I do want to say he's been very, very strong and adamant about what he does, and very passionate, and I appreciate that. Now, Mr. Valet, on the other hand, no, y'all starting to look like
Thought you
twins. I gotta
stepped down
tell
'cause you were going
if y'all
to-
hang around too much longer, y'all starting to look like twins. But I do appreciate, I just had to jab back at you. Don, I do it public. But
You and I have been friends in that regard for a long time.
Anyway, no, I
I know
appreciate
you wanted to go
everything-
fishing.
Everything Foster does is, he's been really dedicated to it. So I admire you, Foster, and it was a pleasure working with you.
Foster's been doing this for 9 years for you guys. I've only been involved 4 to 6 months.
We didn't have a lot of money early on, but we have more money now. We're getting more grants, and the more we spend, the more the state will give us. And we're happy to provide you with every check that we write.
Mr. Newsom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Mitch must have stole my notes because I was gonna send the kudos, the same thing. When are y'all meetings? Do y'all have a set meeting?
Tuesday of every month,
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock in the
4
afternoon.
o'clock.
And y'all doing it at the Phil Sack and Jesuit Bend?
Tuesday,
It's centrally located, and we can have about.
Around 4 PM. Okay. Again, and with this legislation that's in front of us here today, y'all still in the need of one more member on this board, is that correct?
Or 3, as y'all are
Well,
saying.
well, there's 2 members on this.
3 of them.
We'd like to have 7. 5 at a minimum.
Yeah, so right now, currently y'all have, how many on the board currently? 4. And this legislation right here puts 2.
Supposed to be 3. Justine Demal.
Plus,
I'm sorry, 3. So, okay, so this will give you a full 7 folks right here with this legislation. Okay, thank you, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Ms. McCarthy?
While we're on the subject of adding people to the tourism board, you mentioned the restaurant businesses, hotels. What are the other?
marinas, lodge owners, guides, spa, anybody who takes care of tourists that are coming to visit Plaquemines Parish. Anybody who's serving them.
So transportation companies?
Yes, transportation.
Okay. I would like to see you add an advertising marketing professional to your list. That way you don't have to consult outside. You would have somebody to offer you advice on the board.
Advertising marketing person is not a tourist attraction, though.
But it brings expertise. So you would not have to spend your money on that. That's what I'm suggesting.
We're not gonna be able to spend money on somebody who's on our board. We can't spend money back when somebody's an
They're gonna
employee.
give us their time for free. You're asking, like, the person that we have doing all of our advertising now is very good, and that's what they do for a living. I mean, if you have somebody that you know who's willing to give us their time and, their energy and has all the printing ability and knowledge, then we're willing to listen.
Okay.
Any more comments from the table? Administration? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. You want us to stay up here for your next item?
Next part, right?
9J, a resolution authorizing the execution with a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Plaquemines Parish Government and the Plaquemines Parish Tourism Commission related to the maintenance, repair, and operation of Fort Jackson and to provide for related matters. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Jurdich. Mr. Konovich.
Yes, I went to them since they have the tourism dollars, and the parish doesn't have the money in the budget to spend on the fort anymore. Trying to get them to put some money into it. Both bridges need to be replaced, clean out the moat, and we have to do it a certain way. I got somebody gonna replace the 2 gates on the doors as a donation, but need more help promoting it and trying to put some money into it. And that's why I went to them to see if they was willing to do it.
Okay, before we start the discussion, did you reach out to the Lieutenant Governor
Yes, sir.
and his response?
I asked him about the tourism, the commercials he has on TV about staycations and all. He said, give him 13,000 and he'll do a commercial for Plaquemines Parish.
I did talk to Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, and he said that All South has some money actually that's earmarked for the fort.
There's a 1.7 million
1.7.
they have for the fort,
I was
but
told by Mr. Nungesser.
So how do we get a hold of this money?
I've been trying to get it. All South has it.
That's not our job.
Mr. President?
Well,
Mr. President?
Yeah, your question.
Yeah. It's a project. I'm on? Yeah. It has been approved by FEMA, or are they working on it?
They approved it.
They approved it?
Y'all
So-
went and appealed
There are funds available. I'm not sure where All South is in the process, but FEMA, it would have to be what's considered an improved project because it's different than what was originally submitted or to restore the fort the way we originally did the application. Because when we appealed, we lost the appeal. The funds that were available were not enough to do everything that was originally supported in the application. And so this new project we can do as long as it's on the fort, but someone has to identify what the top priorities of the port are in order to expend all those funds.
Well, I talked to the last administration, and it was going to either be fix the bathrooms in the fort or pavilion right outside.
Legal's not typically involved in that process beyond the appeal process and all of that. So I would have to double check with All South and the parish president to see what, if any, movement was done in the prior administration to see that along. But there are funds available for Fort Jackson.
'Cause I know Ken Dugas and Todd and Scott came down and we walked around, showed them where I wanted to put a pavilion and all.
Okay, well, then what we need to do is we need to get with Ken and Jonah, get with All South, get with you guys, get with you, Mitch, and let's take a walk and do a tour of the fort, and let's come up with that action, that list right there, and then we can move forward on this as well.
I think one of the issues early on was they'd hired an engineering firm and it was gonna be like 25 million.
That was to restore the whole fort.
Right. Which is,
Well, then
I
that's
don't think that's the way we need to do it. I don't think that's the way to go about restoring the fort. You start with little increments and then you grow from there. Get it open, get people coming in, get some grants, fundraisers, and I think we can make it work that way.
Well, I would feel that with this 1.7 or whatever the numbers are, I would think that we could get a real good start on this restoration there. So, Habo, Mitch, look, someone's got to take the lead on this. I mean, we can. Habo, you were just voluntold right there. Okay, so.
I seen that little.
Bring your lawnmower.
So, yeah, and look, and like I said, with Jeff and Billy, let's get together and let's move forward here because the fort is something that has been, when I
Landmark.
sat on the council as far back as 16 years ago, and the fort is in worse shape today than it was back then because nothing has been done. So we really need to move forward with this right here and start going in a more positive direction here.
Me and Mr. Champagne talked about it. The National Park did a study,
Yeah.
and it passed every step, but what was going on in the nation at the time, it wasn't the right time to take the fort into the national park.
Right.
So I want to do a resolution urging the representatives in Washington to put a little poker to them and try to push them into taking them.
I would agree with that right there, because we spent money years ago to get these studies and to move forward with getting it in the National Park Service there, so.
Mr. President, when David Vitter was down here the last time, I talked to David to see if there's any possibilities he could use for his lobbying aspect, get us a foot in the door so we can get this thing back on the national trust again, and find a source of funds for it.
That's possible.
Thank you.
Ms. McCarthy?
I was going to ask questions regarding the national park system. When Charles McCarty was economic developer and director of tourism for 8 years, the fort was adopted into the national park system.
It's a national, what is it?
National Forest.
It's not a park, but it's a national historical site. Something.
Oh, okay. So he had it so that it was going to be accepted into a national park system, like Utah parks or Grand Canyon kind of thing.
Yellowstone.
Well, it didn't happen because someone who was over him said that he didn't want it to happen. So all I'm saying is it may be an avenue to pursue
What it-
as well.
They did the 10-step process. I forget who was the parish president at the time, but it took a while to do it because I took them into Fort and then Fort St. Philip because they wanted both forts. And we might have that back on the table now, both forts.
That's good. I'm just saying that's something you can still, it may be an open door for the future to look at if this doesn't pan through.
Come to our meetings and bring your ideas.
You're gonna lock the door.
Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question earlier, and I thought it wasn't the right time. But I know the parish wrote 2 checks this year, January for $14,000. That was to your organization, $14,489, and another one for Plaque Repair Tourist Commission. That's you. And another one for $17,000. What were those 2 checks for?
Checks that we received.
What were they for?
That's the tourism, that's the.
Hotel motel tax.
That's the 2% occupancy tax that hotels and inns and lodges collect from people that stay with. Let's say if you do $100,000 worth of business in 1 month, you've got to pay $2,000 to the parish.
And the parish in turn gives that to you?
Any more comments from the table? Administration?
Yes. Y'all all should have received an email. There is a dedication ceremony scheduled March 7th down at the fort for the Lafayette Trail.
Right.
There's a marker being dedicated to honor Lafayette's sail up the river. This is a great opportunity to bring some light on.
We've already notified most of the media on it already.
Good. It's just a great opportunity to cast some light on the fort and the condition it's in, and hopefully we could gain some.
There was another group that forward, so there's a lot of people.
The Daughters of the American Revolution is involved. I think it's a great opportunity to get the public notified on the shape of the fort and maybe get some funds.
Could you tell us what time that's
towards
for?
This way. I'm sorry.
Could you tell us what?
It's at 2 o'clock on March 7th, and there'll be a little ceremony afterwards with refreshments at the museum.
And I know the tractors went cut the big property. Can I get a lawnmower and I'll cut inside and around the front?
If you all haven't had an opportunity to see the stories that Rod Lincoln, the historian, has created on all the plantations down the river, it's well worth you taking the time to look at this thing.
I don't want to look at no plantation.
Well, the reuse of those.
Gives you the history of the ownership of all the properties.
Thank you.
Okay, any more comments from the table? From the audience? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Item 10, approval of the minutes from the February 9th, 2023 regular meeting.
Motion.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Champagne?
Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the normal order of business and refer back to item 6, beer and liquor beer and liquor licenses that were contingent upon the passage of items 9E and 9F.
Okay, you would like to move back to item 6?
I did it already. I didn't have to do it this week because
Need a second.
he was in parish.
Item 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Mr. Champagne?
There was a motion, I need a second. Just
Second.
I'll second.
Got to read them first.
Right, the first is for the Blackman's Parish Social Aid and Pleasure Club, P.O. Box 355, Belle Chase, Louisiana, 70037. The second is for the Blackman's Parish Heritage and Seafood Festival, 239 Sarah Victoria Drive, Belchase, Louisiana. Again, both of these were items 9E and 9F, which passed.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Champagne, seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any comments from the table? Administration, audience, machines open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll revert back to our next item.
10, approval of the minutes from the February 9th, 2023 regular meeting.
We have a motion by Mr. Gonovich,
Second.
seconded by Reverend Edwards. Any questions from the table? Administration, audience, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
11, new business. 11A, introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. 11A1, a resolution requesting a local bill be filed on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council in the 2023 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature relative to the governance of the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
We have Ms. McCarty.
I'm going to withdraw the first one and discuss the second one.
11A2, a resolution requesting a local bill be filed on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council in the 2023 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature relative to the governance of the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
This came up.
Would you like to offer?
Yes, I'd like to offer.
We have a motion by Ms. McCarthy.
Discussion or vote?
Discussion.
We have a motion by Mrs. McCarthy for discussion only. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Mrs. McCarthy.
Got to vote on it for suspension.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is for suspension only? And it passes 9-0.
A resolution requesting a local bill be filed on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council in the 2023 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature relative to the governance of the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
So offered.
We have a motion by Ms. McCarthy
This is a discussion.
for discussion only.
Oh, second.
Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Ms. McCarthy.
So this topic came up when I realized that we did not know what was going on with the tourism board. Today you have presented us with an unadjusted year-end statement that has some numbers that differ from what I was getting from the finance department. And I realize you say that you don't have a way of knowing where the funds are coming from, but otherwise, we were going to ask that you start reporting to us instead of us having to go to you. And that's what this amendment was for. And we wanted to increase it to 9 people, and we were going to start working with you to appoint members that are qualified. So that would make it to a point that you would come back and discuss with us. But in the introduction of new business, I am proposing that we leave the board as is, and you're saying also that you're an S corp. That's not listed with the Louisiana state. You're still a nonprofit from what I understand. Okay, so we would like you to come report to us at least every other month, your financials, your return on investment, where you are spending the money. Right now, according to this document that you gave to us today, you are projected to earn $189,133.38, and I get that from taking your January and your February income and taking an average of that and then extrapolating 12 months out. So that's how much, if you did not increase or decrease, that's what you're headed toward earning. The finance department said that you received $230,000 last year. And your statement says that you received $191,670.98. So there is a $38,329.02 discrepancy. So I would ask that in the future, you get an audited, eventually have an audited statement at the year end, but Mr. Estes and Associates says that we did not audit or review the financial statements, nor were we required to perform any procedures to verify the accuracy or completeness of the information provided by management, and accordingly, we do not express an opinion, a conclusion, nor provide any form of assurance of this financial statement. So he's saying that this is information that you provided to him, and he basically took the numbers that you provided and put it together on an income statement and balance sheet.
Well, again, Foster Corpel, Woodland.
Speaking to the mic,
Please
please.
pull the mic down.
Yes, Foster Corpel from Woodland. The parish sends us checks. Okay, we don't know how much we've collected every month. We have no idea. We have no idea who's sending money in. I'm the only person who knows how much money I'm sending to the parish.
Can you not add up how much you get every month?
Oh, I can add up how much we get from the parish every month.
Okay,
Yes, but they don't tell me when we get a grant, when it comes in. They deposit it into our account. I will start asking
okay.
John Estes, our accountant, when we get a grant, how much it is and when they put it in. Because I remember year before last, all of a sudden we had $50,000 more at the end of the year than we'd collected. So it had to come from a grant from the state. If I'm not mistaken, the state gives the parish back some money every year from tourism dollars that are collected, and all parishes get them. So I suspect that some of that is coming from you guys to us. Now, I don't know how much it is. All I know is that Estes gets our returns. I don't even get the statements. I don't get bank statements. They go straight to Estes. We don't have an address. For years, we were doing business with Regions Bank, and they wouldn't even provide us with a statement. I had to go basically beg them for 6 months to get all of their statements for going back for years, and I provided those to Estes to get all caught up. And so we've done all of our statements. We've done all of our returns with the state.
Okay, so basically, he needs to give you an itemized income statement so that you know what your, or balance sheet.
Right.
Because right now, your assets just basically say cash and bank. It
That's
doesn't
all we
say
have.
where
We
it
don't
comes-
have any other assets.
I know, but you can learn from your reports, your financial reports, just as you have here on expenses, you can say, under expenses, you say advertising and promotion, or conference, convention meetings, legal, accounting. So you can do the same thing for your income and know where that income is coming from in the report.
Well, no, the checks, I write them out. We write out about 2 to 3, maybe 4 checks a month. That's just about it. As far as income, all I get is that one check that Reverend Edwards was asking about, these 2 checks that we got in beginning of January, the beginning of February. Those were probably for December's collecting and January's collections. I very rarely get those. I ask for those. All I do is at the end of the month say, okay, how much money have we brought in this month? And I hope it's more than last month. And I know how much we spent. That's how I run my business. We can get more detailed, and I'm sure.
I think you need to require more detail from either the parish and definitely your bank.
Councilman McCarthy?
We can have the finance department, any grants and all the checks written, and obviously Reverend Edwards just has a copy of some checks. Those are all public record. We'll be happy to have finance send you all of the checks for the last number of years.
He needs to have it.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we're writing checks, it's a public record. I don't know why he doesn't have it or has it.
That's
or-
what I'm saying.
Or if it went to the
Go
C.
to our accountant.
Right, but what I'm telling you is all of that is public record. The only thing that the administration, the last administration and the parish attorney has issues with is there are confidentiality, state law, and there's confidentiality issues related to the collection of sales taxes and taxes in general. And so what I've said in the past was, if the Tourist Commission would like to do some auditing work or whatever, we would be happy to facilitate that, but there would have to be non-disclosure agreements signed, and we're very protective of those tax records and information. So, but any grants, any checks we write to them, all of that is public record, and we'll be happy to turn that over to the council. What we won't turn over is the actual collection, sales tax collection reports.
But I'm not asking for a micro.
No, I'm just letting you know.
business.
I'm just letting you know what
Yeah.
they would not receive from the parish versus
Yes, I
what they
understand
should receive and what is public record.
Have you seen this, though? It's not very detailed, and he's saying he doesn't know more information. And so I'm saying that he should be able to receive more detailed information.
I do know where we spend all the money. I don't know where it all comes from or how it's being collected. I don't know that, and I don't know when we get grants. So,
Let me respond to that.
And to Mr. Burris's point, you will not know, because of confidentiality laws, how much a particular restaurant or hotel pays. As long as the sheriff is collecting what's supposed to be,
that's correct.
then that should suffice.
Yes, and it does for us.
Councilman McCarty, I think you heard me state when I first was talking about, I was working with the administration, Mr. Epley, trying to get that information as to what revenue was coming in from where and sources and stuff like that. And again, we discussed the confidentiality, and he was going to talk to one of the auditors, the outside auditor you use, that gives you advice and get some opinions on it, so we could track and forecast dollars that's coming in, and the fact that if we were truly collecting it, because I don't believe there's really any collection procedures out there to audit any of the people that are supposed to be paying this money.
Well, there is a confidentiality aspect that you cannot know if they are paying.
I understand.
But the sheriff's office or whoever is collecting the tax can know.
I would just tell you, I was a banker for 20-some odd years. I know the confidentiality of it. I can tell you, Chris is head of your audit committee. You're more than, I can't think the guy's name is, more than welcome to audit anytime you want of anything. Again, first thing we got to do is determine that we're truly collecting the funds.
Okay, one other thought I wanted to mention is, I'd like to see you advertise the entire parish, not just the businesses that you think are paying in, because all of the businesses should be paying in that are in the hospitality industry. And you had said that Mr. Valet, you had said that you wanted to return the money to the businesses. That was a note that I took earlier.
What I stated is I want to make sure that people that are contributing the money and paying their taxes are receiving benefits from the funds they put in, that we don't leave anybody by the wayside.
So we need to make sure that every hospitality industry business is paying the tax so that you advertise the entire hospitality industry in the parish. And I'd also like to see you advertise out of state because, Mr. Foster, I have brought, with my transportation and security company, quite a few clients to your facility. And they're not from in-state. Yeah.
We've adopted an internal budget, nothing print per se, that we want to put 70% of our money back to local residents. So much to within the state and so much nationally.
Okay.
We want to cover all the bases. We've met with a lot of magazines and people as to how we're going to be able to spread the dollars around and still maintain a budget that's going to be suitable to take care of the fort.
Come on, let's wrap this up. Mr. President, you good? Mr. Konovich?
Yeah, they do programs nationwide. But if we're gonna nitpick them, and like he said, we used to get his paperwork showing what he brought in and brought out, paid out. When are we gonna do that to the hospital board?
I think you need to bring that up to the hospital board. Have you attended a meeting at the hospital
Yes, I
board?
have.
Then they should be able to provide that to you.
Why don't they give it like you want them to give it to us every month?
I don't
in
know. You'll
4
have to
years,
take
I
that up
haven't
with the
gotten
hospital
anything
board.
from the
We'll be happy to do
Hospital
that.
board.
We're going to be happy to provide you with all the information.
And I had the floor,
Definitely.
the hospital board, in 4 years, I haven't gotten anything from them. I've been to the meetings and find out what they do, but
Point,
never received the
point of
one.
order. Are we talking about hospital, I understand your comments, but are we talking about hospital board or commission, or tourism?
But we wanting to make the tourism board give us a report every other month. Why doesn't the whole hospital board do it?
You can put forward.
I think you're going to be very happy with 3 ads that we've recently done. And they're not out yet, but we're going to pay for them to be aired in places like Mobile and Miami and Atlanta and Nashville, and they're beautiful. Good. Top of the line. And I think you're going to all be very, very happy with them.
Excellent.
Reverend Edwards?
Let me just say very clearly is that I'm really confused about what we're doing here. I don't understand how your fund had anything to do with a bill before the legislature. And I've still been trying to wrap my brain about what we're gonna get from getting a legislator to file some bill to govern you. I don't think that's our responsibility. So I'm unclear over that, and I think that was a part of this, why we said.
Not.
That's Councilwoman.
But I'm just saying as a councilman, I was confused about what are we trying to do, by passing the bill. You're a commission, and my thing is being a commission, you're already a part of the state. So I don't know how much
I think
do.
what,
Yeah, please listen. That item, Reverend Evans, has been withdrawn.
Okay.
Okay?
Because that's how I started off with the
Yeah.
conversations, okay.
So, all
And
right.
I don't think, and I feel again, I'm not in favor of micromanaging any organization. I'm not in for micromanaging any organization, at all. We got a lot of other stuff to deal with than micromanaging the organization.
we're trying to do a good job for all of us.
We thank you for coming to share this information, and we do appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Schultz?
I was just gonna make a point of order. I mean, at this point, we're getting off subject.
Yeah, well,
Discussion. Can
we're getting ready to vote.
We do. Oh, there's no vote. This discussion,
Oh,
can we
okay.
move on?
So we finish? You finished? Okay.
Withdraw it.
Withdraw it?
Yes, I withdrew it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move to the next item, please.
I have a suspension. Oh. Are we on? I'm on, yeah, we live. Yeah, I have a item for suspension.
Okay, a resolution appointing an interim constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, and calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, and other matters in connection therewith, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And it's a fill in the blank.
Offer for
Yeah, we
suspension.
offer.
I'll second.
We have a motion for suspension of the rules by Mr. Jurich, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Machines are open.
Chair.
Danny wants to say.
Was this a suspension that was on the agenda or not? So this is just to make sure we're dotting all the i's. First, you would have to amend your agenda. It would take a unanimous vote to add consideration of a resolution under suspension to your agenda. Then you would have to vote on the suspension of your rule to consider the resolution at this meeting. Then you vote on the resolution. Just want to make sure. So the first motion would actually have to be an amendment to the agenda to add this resolution under suspension. And it would take a unanimous vote.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurich to add to the agenda for the suspension,
Second.
seconded by Reverend Evans. Any discussion? Machine is open.
Why you turning it off?
You took your vote out, yeah.
I did.
Who's pending?
Dr. Goy. And the measure passes 9-0.
So,
A resolution appointing interim constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, and calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana.
so moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurdich, seconded by Mr. Conovich, and for suspension. Any discussion from the table? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. The rules are suspended.
A resolution appointing an interim constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, and calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 7, Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana. The fill in the blank on line 26, Dave LeBlanc.
So offered.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurdich, seconded by Mr. Conovich.
Okay.
And who's the name again?
Dave LeBlanc.
Okay.
Actually, David.
David LeBlanc.
Mr. Newsom.
Yes, me and Mr. Jurdich worked hand in hand with this because Ward 7 covers some of my districts, some of his districts, so we worked in it, and Mr. LeBlanc comes with a recommendation of the past councilman, of the constable, I'm sorry. So he comes with a recommendation from the past constable. Thank you.
Is there any more comments from the table? Administration? Audience? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move back to our items, the next item.
11B, District 9 update, Councilmember Kotnovich. A, discussion and update on Port Sulphur Water Plant.
Any update?
The advertisement has been sent to the newspaper, and it'll be start advertising on Tuesday. It'll be advertised for, I think what they told us is 28 days. And then they'll open up the bids, and you'll go forward from there. And then again, once the contractor has been selected, we're still looking at 12 to 18 months for construction based on, materials, equipment, so forth and so on. So that's where we are there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Highway 11. Okay.
Mr. Newsom?
Yeah, this project is, I know it's on your hot list, it's probably number one topic with Venture Global using water and folks for the southern end of the parish using water, because the current system is, we don't have enough water for everybody, so again, I thank you guys for putting the top priority with this. Doing that, and really, do we have any type of estimated cost for this?
No.
No, okay.
I
Thank you.
know we have, yeah, we've got monies appropriated for it, but we don't have a cost estimate right there. Highway 11, we've signed with, we've got an engineering firm, it's All South. We're going to go down and start identifying all of the, putting out for bids this year. Also, I'm meeting with Dr. Green this weekend. We're going to be taking a look at the roads down. I can give you a call. I know we got other things going on. You got the Nutria thing there. So.
I'm not going hunt Nutra this week.
Okay, so that's moving forward as well, right there.
Can I ask why we hiring a consultant?
Talking with Ken and Jonah, they felt like it was quite an extensive project for them, and they just asked if we could do that.
And I think the councilman in the district could point out the worst spots.
Sometimes I feel like we can do the same thing, but we need help with it. And like I said, I can't lean on Ken and Jonah because I mean, we lean heavy on those two right there to begin with there. I mean, anything you need to know pertaining to engineering, those two fellas, you know, they're on top of it and they're quite busy.
Thank you. Targa plant,
Tide, I'm sorry.
Targa plant on Tidewater Road. I talked to Billy about it a couple times.
Okay.
They still complaining. It's,
Target, we're on Target now.
yeah.
That's a cattle gap that should never have been filled in like it's filled in. It's got, that hump in the road serves no purpose. So we're gonna go clean it out and fill it in with concrete.
Because the reball's coming out now and it's
Yeah.
busting tires.
Right. So that should never have been done like it's done right there. So
Thank you.
that, we're moving forward with that one as well there.
Ms. McCarthy?
Mr. President,
Oh.
I'd like to suggest to take a look at someone named Gary Gotro as a consultant as well. He lives on Epsilon Street in District 5, and he does different types of concrete work. He builds roads, and he also knows how to use our machinery for laying down tar. I understand we don't have an operator. He knows how to operate that as well. So thank you.
Okay. Good.
Next item, please.
C, District 7 update, Councilmember LaFrance.
Deferred.
D, District 8 update, Councilmember Jurisic. Discussion on changing the meeting day time to Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
And I offer for discussion only.
You can discuss.
Discussion.
You don't need a second.
All right, just as we're sitting here right now, I think it's on. Is it on?
Yeah.
Just as we're sitting here right now, it's almost, 6 o'clock, and we're on the East Bank. We have to travel all the way back up to Bellchase to go all the way back down to almost the beginning of the world. It's these meetings seem to get in a little late in the evening, and I know a lot of people, we're business people here, we're sitting here, this is our job. And I'm looking to try to change it to where we can maybe change it to middle of the week. Monday's a tough day. Tuesday, you're getting over Monday. By Wednesday, you're refreshed, you're feeling good. Chris is even smiling, on Wednesdays. And I feel like a midweek thing gives us a couple days at the end of the week to wind down. If we have anything to go on, we can kind of finish up our week, and by Friday, you're pretty much, fizzling out and, your week's done and you can move on to the weekend. I know it's gonna be tough, and I'm not looking to do this immediately. I'm looking to transition in this over time, give us a few months to maybe readjust our schedules. I'm just looking, even the ladies in the audience and all, and the secretaries and all, getting home late, traveling, and it's especially with this, ferry situation nowadays and holding meetings on this side of the river. I dedicate my time to this as most of us do, and I know it's gonna be a little tougher with people with their jobs and have to make, and that's why I'm offering for discussion and to see how we can go about and how much time we would need to possibly make this transition.
Mr. McCarthy?
I'd like to add that I've talked with Christian in I believe he's in the IT department, about having a satellite office. So when we are in Port Sulphur, there can be a little room with a policeman, a TV screen, a microphone, and they can cue in, and we can see it happen. And it would be as if they were present here, and then vice versa. When we are in Bellchase, the people who are in this area do not have to travel all the way to Bellchase. They could come to a location here and also cue in the same way. And he will use readily available technology. So I'd just like to offer that as a possibility with this.
Mr. Konovich?
Well, being one of the only one out of the 9 that works for a company that's not related to me or owned by me, took me 8 years to talk to 158 companies to get me to be on the council and take a day and a half off. So now they plan their times around me taking off Thursdays. Now I'm gonna have to go back to 158 companies and get approval to move it to Wednesday. And if I can't get them to approve it, then what happens? I gotta quit that job or I gotta quit this job. So it's not moving it that easy. We all took this position knowing that the meetings was on Thursday at 3 o'clock. We tried moving the times in the last 4 years. I think we met at 10 o'clock. We went to 5 o'clock, and we settled on 3 o'clock. But that's where I'm at.
Reverend Edwards?
I would say, Mitch, welcome to the world of people who live on the East Bank. You know, you talking going, every time since I got on the council, I've been driving around to New Orleans. Come here, and that's a way of life, you know, for us for a long, long time. And so this is a short period of time for you, but we've been dealing with this for years of going around. 'Cause every time they have a meet across the river, when the ferry there, we had to go around to New Orleans. So I'm just saying that I don't know if changing the time will make that much a difference for people, because Dr. Gouy, he been here longer than Moses, so he could tell you that he's seen this stuff change from time to time, but the participant, before Moses? You know, but he could tell you, even when you change the time, the participation of people haven't changed. And I've seen this happen last 42 years, so I'm really not in favor of it. I'm for keeping it the way it is.
Mr. Newsom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, the date doesn't really matter to myself, but it's, you know, if we got to accommodate all non-council members. Administration also, you know, needs to have a voice in it. This is a great discussion. It's why we are working together and in partnership with everyone, and we can listen to everyone's concerns. And like I said before, we listen to everyone's concerns, and you respect each other, and you understand where everybody's coming from. So we can just have a better understanding of what we need and what we can accomplish. And I commend Mr. Jurist on it. Moving the time up, would not be a bad idea. It sounds like the date is going to be some issues for some folks because it gets late, and I guess I'm getting late running my mouth. So with that, I yield, and thank you.
Mr. Jurich?
Yes, I mean, as I said, I brought it up for discussion because I want everybody to put their input and you know, see what the general consensus would be. I'd like to get a general consensus. I know I definitely understand Councilmember Konovich, and if Wednesday doesn't work, then maybe Thursday, maybe not 10 a.m., maybe 1 a.m. I'm just looking to get it started a little bit sooner, 3 o'clock.
1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. We'll get it over.
I know me.
I'm already awake at the time.
I know me and you's up at 1 a.m., but
We got to change the time. It's a long day. The man saying 1
I don't think it'll work for yeah. I mean, I think Dr. Gouy expressed some concern possibly any earlier than 1
Thursday,
1
10
p.m. 1 p.m. on Thursday. Yeah, but I mean, I'm off. If Thursday's fine with me, if we can move it up to try to be done, you know, I mean, if anybody has an important issue, they're gonna be here. So, you know, if y'all wanna look at Thursday and talk about time on Thursday, that's why I got it up for discussion right now, you know. If the date change makes a difference, if it's the date change of the week doesn't work, and the time change on Thursday. Yeah, stop looking at me like that, Chris. You're confusing Brian.
It's day change of the week, not date change.
I said date. It just, look, you don't,
He's criticizing your pronunciation.
Hey, I know what time.
what was them names last meeting?
and people still call me.
No comment.
Anyway, so I'll open it for discussion. I mean, if, you know, I'd like to.
Any more discussion from the table? Administration? Audience? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Reverend Evers for adjournment. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We will have adjournment at 5:59 PM.